Islam, peace and greetings. Welcome back to another episode of The More We Know series, Volume 7. And cut that off for a second, and I wanted to play, but just getting the sound quality and stuff together, trying this new going live thing out. Um, we're going to get on to a couple issues that we normally dive into, but we're going to um, get into the bankruptcy. All right, we're gonna hit home on this U.S. bankruptcy. We gotta definitely stay there because we gotta know that we are the nationals of the land, and when they say the U.S. national debt, right? We know that the U.S. company is putting their debt on the nationals, us. All right, so uh, we have to realize that and know that they have been and is and are in a bankruptcy, and that's not our debt. Okay, that could never be our debt. That's their company, the companies that we went over last show, where I showed that it's the documents or the articles of incorporation. And again, I would give props where props is due to our national grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, and the great mother, Dr. G, and also all the studious Moors. Um, Continue to give honors to the ones that's keeping it in the front and always keeping the prophet at the head. My good brother, Asir, the Duke of Tears. I just talked with him, conversated with him a couple of weeks back. Um, of course, my bro, Cujo Adwell, and the Canaan Land Moors, my brother. Yeah, definitely will not forget. I gotta mention Mantis 29, my brother Mesraim, and the great mother Rasmarai Bey. Peace, honor, and love to you all. So, as we get into this show and get on along the topics, let me just drop this down. And as you see, the great brother, the supreme, I'm not just saying my name or my appellation, but the supreme, who was a true supreme, who was a true president, who was the true uh, one that should be talked about like every day, all the time, every minute, every hour. Sheikh Abdul, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay, and we're going to continue. Yeah, okay, that's the right one. Yeah, I didn't have no brain fart. I just was thinking about something. But yeah, this is the one. This is the document that I want to get into. And it's the U.S. bankruptcy and the Moors, 1928 to 1933. All right. And, of course, as we always say, get your pens, get your paper, get your bifocals if you need be, and read along with me. And we're going to be hitting on some key points here. Always research it. Just don't, take, someone's word. But always, jot down and do some cross referencing. And because the only way you're gonna get up out of that grave is to get up out that grave, Lazarus. Okay, and you will have to do your due diligence as studious Moors to, you know, because the prophet bought everything we need to save a nation. Now we must take it and save ourselves. Okay, not saying that we should be doing stuff and just thinking about ourselves. No, we should be thinking about our nation and how we can put uh, our information and stuff out there I mean, there's information out there to put and to save ourselves, to save each other. You know what I'm saying? You see this information, pass it on to someone. I seen a great sister, um, in a tribunal, and I part imparted some of the information to her. So we're gonna go on and get out this soapbox, okay? All right, the U.S. bankruptcy in the Moors. All right, the purveyors of so-called white supremacy were just walking along minding their own business, suppressing, destroying, and or misrepresenting the truth about history. Moors, history in general, in particular, when out of nowhere came the savior for the fallen people that they had extinguished the light and life within. His appellation is Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. Having traveled the world, Noble Drew Ali obtained knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and overstanding into the many truths the oppressors were working so hard to hide. After detecting our true identity as Moors and our true history as possessors of the oldest artifacts and burial sites in what has been misnomered as the so-called Americas, as opposed to the lies the so-called white supremacists were spewing forth. All blacks were brought to the Americas by us to be our slaves. Noble Drew Ali implemented a series of actions to begin the process of resurrecting our people from the comatose and dead levels. These efforts accumulated in the reemergence of the Moors as a community in the sense of a body politic that was gestating, rebuilding into a nation once again. In 1928, the Pan American Conference was held in Havana, Cuba. Secretary of State Hughes went down to represent the United States, and Noble Drew Ali went down to represent the Moors. At that conference, the mandate for the land mass of Greater Amexem, North Central and South Central Amexem, misnomered as the North, Central, and South Americas, was returned to the Moors. Okay, let's look into that because it also correlates with chapter 47. And you look in your Circle 7 Quran, and it breaks down what that land mass and the vast estate that we have. All right. And I do, uh, okay, there it goes. Okay. Chapter 47 here. Okay. This is chapter 47. And it breaks down all that. Okay. So let's go back over here. And we were here. Okay. Noble Drew Ali knew what this meant and what the ramifications of this was and is. Several stopgap measures were taken by Noble Drew Ali to secure the Moors' birthright inheritance and beneficiary interest as Moors to the land mass within the aforementioned land mandate. The actions of Noble Drew Ali were detected by the so-called white supremacists, and they immediately proceeded to act to do all they could to impede his work and take him out. Because, that's what they do. All right, so don't be afraid. When you get this information, put this information out, and yeah, it's gonna ruffle some feathers, and they're gonna get mad, and they're gonna, turn red in the face, and want to do some things to harm you, but never, never, never fear. Don't fear, because this is your birthright. They've stolen and taken from us. It's time to take it back. So don't be scared. I know we get a little nervous and get around them. No, don't have no fear around them. They have no power. They only have power that we give them. So take that power and show that we have power, because you do have power, Moors. Fortunately, natural law governs all events. Thus, by the time the oppressor made his move on Noble Drew Ali, Noble Drew Ali had already put things in motion. and pardon me, some of the pages cut off, and I can't. This is it. This is how I acquired it. So I'm gonna do my best to be accurate as possible. This scared the international banksters because land and labor is where most of your wealth comes from in the carnal world, and Noble Drew Ali had just yanked all the land from the so-called Alaska to so-called Argentina out from under them. Even though we, the Moors, as a community, were mentally comatose at that time, the international banksters recognized that the potential for our instant return to our place of prominence on the global scene existed. Thus, the international banksters recalled all of their loans in a panic, which in turn put a squeeze on their stock market, which caused its collapse 2 months after the assassination of Noble Drew Ali. Yes, a lot of people, um, we're just going to cut to the chase. They did assassinate our Grand Sheik. They did assassinate Prophet Noble Drew Ali. A lot of people said, no, he died from a disease. He had a disease. No, they beat that man. They beat him. They beat him to death. A lot of even our own people, created that lie that he has made his transition from a disease. No, they was jealous of him, of his fame and nobility. Go look it up. It's in the papers. Go look it up. They were jealous of him, and they beat him. They beat him to death. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But anyway, they're going to get what they have coming. Nevertheless, the so-called European on both sides of the Atlantic knew that their system was and is existing and functioning on borrowed time. They also realized that the length of that borrowed time is directly tied to the length of the Moors, ignorance, lack of knowledge of ourselves, our history, our culture, and what is rightfully, justly ours. This fact is that has compelled the so-called white supremacists to do all that is possible to keep the undeclared, mentally comatose Moors from ever walking up and reclaiming all that rightly belongs to our people, and at the same time keep the rank and unsuspected so-called Europeans from finding out what is really going on. All right. So, it doesn't only affect us. It don't affect us. We are the nationals, and we know that the European are United States citizens, all right, or U.S. citizens, okay? Excuse me. So that's who we are. We are the nationals. We are the inheritors of the land, okay? So bear that in mind. Keep that in mind. Noble Drew Ali's works as a result of what transpired at the Pan American Conference touched off a flurry of, can't get that, on both sides of the Atlantic, because the so-called European from both sides of the Atlantic knew what was, let's see, it's cut off ing as a result. Us going on as a result. The actions of Noble Drew Ali caused the so-called Europeans to assemble themselves to conspire and plot a way to deal with what they thought would be the reemergence of the Moors, to whom their respective countries contribute contributory, I can't just say tributary to, as they always have been, the U.S. and Barbary powers, by David McRitchie, written in the 1800s. Something this fact. All right. It's going to be kind of real because I know some of these words are definitely cut off. Again, I'm going to do my best to bring an ad lib if I have to, but Noble Drew Ali knew that the time of the Moors' resurrection had not come, and knew, pardon me, that his days were numbered. In fact, Noble Drew Ali stated, "It will take you more than 50 years to figure out what I have done. What I have done is not for you Moors, but for the third and fourth generation from now. There will be new Moors that will come with their eyes open, seeing and knowing, and they will sit or set you old Moors in the back and carry out my law." The so-called European was horrified at the potential of our people rising 71 years ago, yet Noble Ali knew our minds were not ready then. Nevertheless, the so-called United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Portugal convened in Geneva, Switzerland for 5 continuous years, 1928, to set up what would, to 1932, to set up what would be the policy of all of the participating countries. These 5 years of meetings became known as the Geneva Convention. In 1930, the so-called United States, Great Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Portugal all declared bankruptcy. Wow. Wow. That says a lot. Any attempt to obtain the minutes of the 1930 Geneva Convention are futile because they published the volumes of minutes for every year the Geneva Conventions, including the 1930, but refused to make the 1930 minutes available to the public because they contain the evidence of the bankruptcy. And they still continue to have that. And that's where we have the good brother James Traficant Jr., Senator for Ohio, who also did a bankruptcy speech. And you can get that House Joint Resolution 192 that says, again, the United States has been bankrupt, still bankrupt. They're still in bankruptcy. So they have no power. They only acted in name only and by force of guns. All right. Because that's what companies do. Companies bankrupt, right? Companies bankrupt. All right. And it's very odd that they publish minutes, and they do have the minutes, right? But they don't want to publish the minutes, right? That's crazy. Going into 1932, the aforementioned states stopped meeting in Geneva. In 1932, Franklin Roosevelt became the United States or U.S. president, and his job was to put into place and administer the bankruptcy that the United States had declared 2 years earlier and hide the bankruptcy from the unsuspecting public by establishing a reorganization plan, the New Deal, administrative state that functions under the color of the United States of America. The United States of America and the United States of for America, along with the United States Constitution, became defunct from the moment, and all that remained was the insolvent, bankrupt, for-profit corporation known as the United States. The United States codified and documented in Title 26 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 1.911-2H, and the Merriam 36 NE 505. New York, upheld by the 16 South 1073 163 U.S. See also 16 Stat 419, the District of Columbia versus Class 103 U.S. 705.26. Operating a democratic military. All right, so it's military venue. But let me say that we must enforce the Constitution for the United States. All right, United States for America. Constitution we must, and treaties we must enforce. We must enforce those because they are not going nowhere. All right, they're still in place. You know what I'm saying? A company cannot get rid of a cost. It just, you know, put it up under the rug. You know what I'm saying? They put their homework and like children come in, put the homework up under the rug or up under the seat, up under the couch and try to hide it. And just do one paragraph and they show you this and that's what it is. No, the full story is up under the pillow on the couch, or the dog didn't eat it. It's still in your backpack. You didn't take it out. So it's that's where the real Constitution and our treaties, the treaties, which are, again, if we go, uh, we do have it this time here, right? Where's okay, Article 6, right? Constitution, right? Constitution 4, all right? All debts contracted and agreements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against, keywords, against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. Okay? So let's just make that clear. All right? Make that clear. We go back, and it states up earlier that it is a democratic military venue, right? They're operating in the democratic military venue. Ah, but you see how and why they wanted to put that bankrupt that company, right, and try to implement that. We go down to we go to Article 4, Section 4, 44. Okay. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. A republican form of government. And shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislators cannot be convened against domestic violence. Okay. And that's even that's against us. All right. Violence even against us. All right. We have to hold them to this. All right. So again, Republican, there's no Democrat. So that's nowhere in their constitution. All right. And we have our, Zodiac Constitution as well. And we do have our bylaws too. So uh we'll get into that as well. All right. We'll get into that as well. But we want to just go here. All right. Okay. Under martial law, that's War Powers Act and the Uniform Commercial Code. So, and that's Hebrew commercial law. Now be careful. Okay. I know the UCC could be useful in a way, but it can also bind you in a way. And I'm learning this as well. I'm learning this. The UCC codes could be used, but you got to be careful because it can buy you in that because it's commercial, it's commerce. All right, it's in trade. So if you're a natural of the land, a national, pardon me, if you're a national of the land, you just need to speak up and say who you are. Just be competent, study, read, and know, and be able to confess without paperwork. Because even our national ID cards doesn't uh, give us rights or say who we are. It just backs what we say we are. Okay, it backs what we say we are. Just like the Constitution. The Constitution does not give you rights. It's just secure the rights that you already have born with. Okay, keep that in mind, especially again going back to these UCC codes. Be careful with them because they will bind you up and get you caught up. Because the moment you enter into the commerce and commercial, you're going to be probably giving up some rights. So, and then they can catch you. So, and that's a whole nother thing. And again, it's one of the good lessons that we have on there. Uh, brother Najee L on his YouTube show has National Grand Sheik Taj talking about just the uniform commercial codes and how you got to be careful. So I would look that up and check that out really because it's a very informative. So um, anyway, the so-called states all revamped their local constitutions by 1938 to take into account their yeah, pardon me, y'all. I had to check on something. All right. The so-called states all revamped their local constitutions by 1938 to take into account their capitulations and the bankrupt mother corporation doing business as the United States, thus clearing the way for the Buck Act of 1940. We'll also look up the Buck Act. We will be getting into that too as well. The Buck Act, right? Because that's informative too. I do have that up here, and we were going to get into that, but we probably won't get into it tonight. But we will get into it. I thought I had it up here. I know I have it up here. I might have. Yeah, the Buck Act. Okay, so yeah, but we do have the Buck Act up here, and we were going to get into that, but maybe not tonight or this morning now. But we will. We will be getting into the Buck Act because that one is enlightening as well. So, following the corporate United States to extend its jurisdiction and by default usurp all sovereignty over the now defunct republics. Getting back to Roosevelt, he was sworn into the United States presidency in January 1933 and wasted no time getting started with the bankruptcy. Roosevelt immediately shut the banks down, banking holiday, and proceeded to pull all of the gold out of circulation while replacing it with a debt currency, tender IOU, with the Moors. Seal, the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. On the back of the U.S. $1 quote note, bill note, well, Federal Reserve note. Again, we can't mix the dollar and the bill because the dollar is a coin and the bill is a debt. Okay, so that's a misnomer in itself. So it can never be a dollar bill. But anyway, the Clock of Destiny, Book 2 by C.M. Bay on page 6 states the Amazon red skinned white Moors progress was something by the circle of the planet Jupiter and Mars from 1789 to 1933, a period of 140 years. Mars passes through the 12 signs of the zodiac 72 times, and Jupiter passes through the 12 signs of the zodiac 12 signs in 140 years. Thus, from 1789 to 1933, spelled the rise and fall of Rome on a universal scale. Take note of the fasci symbol on both sides of the speaker's podium in the U.S. Congress. And it is up there. If you do see, let's see, let's see, right? Let's take a look, see. Let's see. Let's see here. Uh, oh, I got it wrong, didn't I, right? Fashion. Let's see. Do we have images for them? Ew, there it go. Ooh. will it will it pull up? I didn't I clicked it, didn't I? Okay. Well, there it is. It's closer there. but this is the fascist symbol here inside the House of Representatives there. Okay. There you go. All right. Keeping in mind that the first 8 presidents were Moors. Again, keeping in mind that the first 8 presidents were Moors and were in power from 1776 to 1789, when the keys of power was transferred into the custodianship of the mystic Turks, so-called European Masons and Shriners, that the Moors charged with the duty and responsibility of protecting our sacred shrine. The New Jerusalem, Washington, D.C., and our sciences until we, as a people, arose from our can't see that of spirituality, moral and ethical decay, and awaken from our slumber to reclaim all that rightfully belongs to us from their custodianship. The ninth U.S. President, George Washington, was a Grand Master Mason under the tutorage of Manuel Mu Ali bin Bey, Benjamin Banneker. George Washington was the first, and let me say, there's a Masonic temple in Alexandria, Virginia, that has the fez of Benjamin Banneker, Ben Bey, in Alexandria, Virginia, off of that Duke Street. So again, George Washington was the first and U.S. president and Grand Master Mason. Franklin Roosevelt was the last so-called European president to rule in that 140-year cycle. Roosevelt knew that he was the last to rule in the 144-year progressive cycle of Roman universal influence when he established a new order or New Deal idea and broke the Roman order by ruling for 12 years, which is the measurement of man. When Roosevelt was giving those famous fireside chats, he knew what was taking place, the beginning of the end. Okay, now this one is going to be kind of, ugh. Yeah, this one is really bad, really cut off bad here on the side. So, um, I'm gonna go and see if I can find some more, um, to get on this. See if I can find the real pages. All right, but the Express Trust written chart. Okay, this is the Express Trust. Okay, all right. So it is there. We do have a trust. Okay, an Express Trust. But I advise you as a more to create your own trust because again, I'm getting into it myself. I mean, I've been studying a long time, but you know, I haven't fell off, as they say. But I let some other things in life, uh, not turn me away. But I had some other things going on that I had to take care of. But I'm still a more through and through. All right. So with that being said, we're gonna come back and then we're gonna get into the Buck Act, right? We're definitely gonna get into the Buck Act, and I wanna also go over a book that says how the Irish became white. All right. Again, I want to get into the Buck Act. So when it come back on here, volume 8, we're gonna get into it. I know this wasn't a long one. I just wanted to get on here and share that tidbit of information, um, and put that onto the record. So again, I really appreciate it. Well, I give thanks. Um, I love you, Moors. Love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice is our principles, and we will live by them and also uh, die by them. So, with them in us, I want to go and bring this down so we can see the brother who bought that or brought us back into or helping us and helped us to get us started to bring us back into the constitutional fold of government, because government is what? Government. Government. Break that word down, right? Govern, to preside over, mente, mind, government. So control. So control, govern, to preside over, control, and mente, your mind. Control your mind, or get into it more. Again, until next time, thank you for joining me on another episode of the More We Need to Know series. Until next time, peace.